every stitch. You got to pick up every stitch. Must be the season of the witch. Must be the season of the witch, yeah. Must be the season of the witch.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Those regulars around here will know this is kind of a channel dedicated to working on old Triumphs, and this is no exception. Mental Revenge is officially off the lift, and now the 1959 Bonneville Custom, the Iron, is on the lift. So it's time to start digging into this. I've already done a video covering the story behind this, but basically this bike was built in the late 60s in Southern California. It was built by a guy named Jim Bennett. He was also known as the Mad Painter. And he pretty much hung out with a lot of the Hells Angels guys, and Sonny Barger was one of his friends who encouraged him to build this bike. This bike has been sitting in Phoenix since the early 90s, where it's been parked and not run since. Jim ended up losing his leg in the early 90s, and he couldn't kickstart this bike anymore, and then he died in the early 2000s. So it's been sitting with his two sons for many years, and I purchased it almost a year ago, and I'm just now getting to it. Okay, the purpose of this video is pretty much to do an initial assessment and see how the bike is. I know before I bought it, I did a compression test and it was getting 150 PSI, and it had a nice big fat blue spark. So this is a numbers matching 1959 Bonneville with the, of course, the 59 Bonneville head. They're very specific sought after head. All the parts and pieces are here. This is even the 59 1 year only 59 oil tank. So a few of the things that have been done to this bike, it's pretty much all stock chassis. It's just got a chromed Wassel fender and gas tank and a Bates seat and P-pad. When I first got this, it had extended forks and an 18-inch Bonneville with its stock hub on it. I'm not really a fan of extended forks, so I'm putting this back down to stock length, and I'm going to go to a 21 on the front. I'm also changing the bars. It originally came with these Flanders U-bars, which are actually a very desirable riser. But I plan on using this for a different bike. I've always wanted a pair. I finally have a pair. So these will probably go on a rigid at some point. But for this one, I'm hunting down a 21-inch Bonneville. I just missed one on eBay. I didn't have the funds for it. I'm really kind of kicking myself for not buying it. So I'll keep looking. But I'm either going to run a spool or maybe a Tiger Cub front hub. I also put the gas tank back down. It was lifted up kind of high, but I'm pretty sure originally it was at this spot. He must have customized it at some point. My plan is to keep it pretty much just like this, not really change too much, but there are a few things I'm going to change. This is a matching mirror set of monoblocks, which is actually kind of hard to find. But I like to run my monoblocks with the float bowl sticking out, so I'm going to flip those around. Also, his intakes are on backwards, so he's got the crossover tube plugged up, so I'm going to put that back in effect. In the box of parts that came with the bike, it came with the original chopped carbs that were on the 59 Bonneville. So I'm going to go ahead and use these on my Bonneville restoration project at some point. While I'm talking about 59 Bonnevilles, if anybody out there has the little float chamber that's used on this, please let me know. I'm going to make sure I run this oil pressure gauge. It plugged in right down here at the timing cover. He must have had a different gauge or something up here at some point. So he's got that blocked off. There's also a pressure release on the rocker here. I don't really know what value that is. I've seen it occasionally on race bikes, but no one can really tell me if that really does anything or not. The oil tank is actually still full of goopy oil. And The gas tank, it's kind of a horror show in there. I'll get to that in a second. Inside the toolbox was a couple little spare parts and pieces, nothing too exciting. Okay, I'm going to start with this, the seat. So this has already been confusing me. I'm fairly confident this is a Bates seat. But at some point that cover must have been repaired because there's rivets in it. You can still kind of make out the Bates sticker adhesive right there. But this is a really nice Bates seat. At least I think it is. In the box of spares was this white Bates seat, which I wouldn't doubt was the original seat for this bike. And it's an old one too, flathead screws. No longer has a sticker either. The seat might make its way to this chrome rigid at some point. We'll see. But anyway, back to the iron. Okay, it's time for the gas tank, so here's where it gets interesting. It's kind of a horror show inside. Little stalactites growing in there. It smells really strong. Lots of varnish. I'm really hoping there's no actual damage to the inside of that tank, or I'll probably have to do another Caswell liner. It's interesting. So he did all this paint work on the side of the tank, and then he put a clear protective layer over it so it can't get scratched off. And that protective layer has actually turned yellow over the years. Oh boy. Oh boy. Definitely not the greatest sign. Whew! That is strong. That's some strong stuff. I shook it a bunch more and got quite the pile out of there. Wow. I don't think there's going to be like a continuous video series on this bike. It might get updated every couple months. Maybe every 6 months. I don't know. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this motor out and start cleaning it up. I might not even replace the rings on this thing. I'm trying to do this as cheap as possible, spend the money in the right spots. I just want to get this thing going again, but correctly. Anyway, thanks for watching. And maybe not too long from now, there'll be a little bit of an update. See you, everybody.